What is up, legends? Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Interchange podcast. I am stoked to be here today with Te-Puni.
Yeah, that's it, brother.
That's the one, bro. I always, when I hear these like Kiwi last names and that sort of stuff, I never know how to pronounce it. So that was like an off the cuff, run it up, got it right.
And you done the short version too, bro. So
Yeah.
you nailed it.
Yeah, sweet, bro. We love that. We
Us
love that.
Kiwis, bro, we have such a massive long name, so
Yeah.
we're good here today.
So we've got the short version. That's
we
cool.
got the
That's
short
cool.
version.
But guys, we're here to talk about this crazy youth crime epidemic that is happening here on the Gold Coast in part of our youth crime series. And so I want to tell you a little bit about Joe and what he does. So he runs a non-for-profit organisation called E-Suarve, or Everything Suarve, who are helping young men and women between the ages of 15 to 25 to help break the cycle of youth crime. And coming from someone that was stuck in that cycle myself, I know how hard it can be, especially without that support. And so, Joe, first of all, before we get into exactly what it is you do, why you do it, and I guess who you are, I just want to say thank you, bro. Thank you for the amazing work that you're doing, because you've worked with, 274 kids in the last 4 years, and out of that, only 4 have ended up back incarcerated, right?
That's it, mate. That's it. So close to 300 kids now, and man, love this job. You know, it's a purposeful work for me.
Yeah, it's not a job,
and,
bro.
it keeps me on track at the same time, keeps me accountable. So love it.
Awesome, bro. Well, first of all, let's find out a bit about who you are and I guess why you do what you do. So tell us, I guess, from a young age, what was it like growing up for Joe?
Yeah, so I was born on the east coast of New Zealand in a place called Gisborne.
Yeah.
From a young age, my dad moved away from Gisborne because his brothers and sisters were in gangs. We grew up around gangs. He was lucky enough to get a contract to go play rugby up north. So from a young age, we moved up north to a place called Whangarei.
Yeah.
We grew up in social housing, brother. So
Yeah.
in social housing, I always say that I was lucky because I had family around me. But in that environment, gangs, drugs, alcohol, it is a very normal thing. You walk out of your doorstep, it hits you right in the face as soon as you
So it was the
step out.
environment, right? It was everything around you was almost geared towards that, right?
Absolutely.
Yep,
You know,
yep.
like I said, had a loving family, but as soon as you step out, you've got temptations at your doorstep. From a young age, I saw that. Seeing fights out in my driveway every day was a very normal thing.
Yeah, so violence was a big part of that lifestyle as well, right?
Massive,
Growing
and
up for you?
that comes off the back of drugs and alcohol. You know,
course.
it's a fuel to start the fire.
Yes.
You know, from a young age, I vividly remember having to go knock on neighbours' doors for food, to ask for cups of sugar, cups of flour, milk, just so that mum or dad could make some bread or something for us to eat. Now, my parents were very young parents, but they taught us how to work hard, how to love. And when you're in that environment, you actually don't know that you're any different to anyone else. So firstly, I just want to acknowledge my parents who did give us everything that they could in our environment. But from a young age, I just started hanging out with the wrong people. Mate, at the age of 14, I lost one of my very first friends in a drink driving accident.
How old was he at that age?
He was just turned 15.
Just turned 15.
So poor choices and just hanging around with the wrong people.
Wow.
At 15, I was expelled from school.
Yep.
At 16, my dad had become a police officer, caught me drug dealing. And between ages of 14 and 18, I lost 6 of my best friends.
Wow, man.
So they're a big drive as to why I do what I do today.
For sure, bro.
Because I very easily could have ended up there. I'd been in a couple of car accidents. I'd gone down that route. And again, if I didn't have the village or my family in my corner keeping me on track, I know where I could have ended up. So I was very lucky, probably a bit lucky as well that Dad was a cop by then, that we managed to get out a couple of incidences, me and a few of my mates. And, you know, we didn't get locked up. But, mate, it was right there for me.
Always pays to have a cop on the team, right?
Always, man, always.
But just going back to that a second ago, you said that, if you didn't have the community, if you didn't have the village behind you. So what you're saying is that if you didn't have the people that you had in your life, you probably would have gone down the wrong path, even though you had that temptation all around you.
Absolutely. And I think it's more evident as I'm older now. I still see the same people in the same environments doing the same stuff.
Yep.
And these are my mates that weren't given the opportunities or chances I was given.
Yeah.
Mate, I just recently went back to New Zealand to get married, and my mates are still there, you know, and I feel sorry for them in some ways. And I say it's not their fault. They've just been never shown anything different.
Victim of the environment, right?
Man, when I move over here, I see all these beautiful big buildings on the Gold Coast and in Brisbane, and I'm just like, I'm blown away. Because when I first got out of my environment, the biggest building in my town was the police station. You know, so to
And
see,
you're a regular there.
you know, yeah, with my dad, thank God. But you know, to see the opportunities and to have your eyes open up to what is really out there in the world versus what is limited here, it's massive, man. And without that, and that's what I try to do with all these young people, is just try to show them what's actually out there in the world versus limiting them to their environments and their family environments.
Gotcha, bro. Gotcha. So when did you come to Australia? And I guess what was the transition like from you being, like you said, in a small village in New Zealand where the biggest building was the police station to then coming to, was it Brisbane that you moved to first?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Brisbane, obviously big city, man.
Yeah.
Complete like polar opposites.
So, mind you, I've never been overseas before either.
Yeah.
So at 19, I knew I had to get out of New Zealand. I had to get out of my rut. I had to change my ways, and I had to do that by myself.
What was it, like, specifically, what was it that was coming up for you that made you feel like, was there a pivotal moment? Was there a turning point for you where it's just like, I need to get the fuck out of here?
Yeah, absolutely. I felt like I was breaking up my family.
Wow.
Although my mum and dad are great parents, I struggled communicating with my father.
Understood.
My father was never taught how to communicate with his dad, and to somewhat had issues with his father as well.
Gotcha.
I struggled communicating with my dad. He was never wrong. I was never wrong. And so we were two bulls that were just constantly headbutting.
Yes.
My mum was always stuck in between me and my dad's shit.
Yeah.
And I just got to that point where I knew I had to leave because I could see the family almost deteriorating because of what I was doing.
Yeah.
I was into drugs and alcohol, and I just wasn't going anywhere in life. I didn't have much to my name. Thankfully, my mum bought my airplane ticket over here.
Wow, yeah.
I moved over here $400 when I was 20.
Yep.
Didn't have a job lined up, had nothing lined up. On the second day, I managed to get a job doing office fit-outs.
Yep. That's not a bad job.
Mate, it was a great job.
Right?
And it tripled the pay straight away. Like moving from New Zealand to moving over here, tripled the pay. It was just like, what the hell is this place, you know? I'm thankful that at 15, when I was expelled from school, my dad put me into a carpentry apprenticeship. So that was my skill set that I needed to allow myself to get a job over here, and at least I had something behind me.
For sure, bro.
I never finished off that apprenticeship when I was in New Zealand. I had all the papers. I should have done it, but me being me, I just was over it and just, I'll move to Australia and I'll start something new.
Yeah.
Mate, I found myself when I moved over here in the construction industry where there was drugs and alcohol and everything that was accessible. It was a very normal culture working in construction for me.
Yep.
Most weekends, I couldn't wait to get to a Friday to blast myself, to buy a bag, to get on the bus, to gamble as well.
Yeah.
For me, those were expressions of what I was hiding from when I was younger.
So it was like a coping mechanism. You were really
Absolutely.
just using it to suppress. And I guess this is something that comes up for a lot of men. Like, I can talk into that myself. Like, I only started using drugs as a way to run away.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and it just went from one thing to the next. Like, it started with drinking, then turned into weed, then turned into ice, and so on and so forth. And so how was it that you sort of, I guess, combated that and overcame the need for a coping mechanism? Was there like a point where you sort of just started to face your own shit and really started to work on yourself, or?
Yeah, absolutely. But that happened over probably a 12-year period.
That's the thing, right? It doesn't happen overnight. And this is what a lot of people think. They think they just start doing the work and all of a sudden they're fixed.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen.
Mate, I had an opportunity to go down to Sydney and do some work down there, and I found myself again getting into cocaine. Down in Sydney, mate, you can send a text message to someone and within 10 minutes it's at your doorstep.
Yep.
I was away from my beautiful partner at the time, and I just still hadn't learned any way of dealing or coping with what I was feeling. I didn't know how to communicate to anyone. I didn't know how to ask for help. So I leant on vices that I always knew that were there for me.
Yes.
To numb everything.
Yeah.
Mate, 6 years ago, I almost decided to take my life.
Wow.
And that was a real turning point for me. I felt like as a man, I was a failure. You know, I'd moved down to Sydney to get me and my beautiful partner ahead. I had an opportunity, I thought, to open up a business up here, and when everything come crashing down and I found myself into the darkest hole that I'd ever been in,
bro.
I knew I had to leave, otherwise things were going to be bad.
Yep.
And so I rang up my beautiful partner. I said, babe, I need to come back up to Brisbane. No plan, no idea what I was going to do. And so, you know, when you're sort of 28, 29 and you're going, well, what do I do with my life now? And you should have kids and you should have a house. And
all
that's
the
what
should, right? The comparison to everyone else.
Didn't have any of that.
Yeah.
You know, and so I came back, and my sister and my brother-in-law actually could see I was in such a hell of a hole. And they bought me a ticket to go on a men's walk with Men's Medicine at the time.
Yeah.
And I just thought, oh, fuck, you know, what's the worst that could happen? So went on this walk, and, you know, there's a bunch of men. There's probably 6 of us that walked through Springbrook Forest at the time, and we learnt breath work, and we learnt how to, well, in that day, learnt breath work. I saw men open up and talk about their emotions, and I just thought, well, I'm not the only one that's going through this myself.
That's a beautiful thing, the realization that you're not doing this alone, man.
Exactly, and so that was the turning point for me. Pretty much from that day onwards, I was like, man, it's okay to cry. It's okay to open up and talk to men. And literally that was the turning point for me, from almost taking my life to taking another chance to go on this walk and try and help myself. And
yeah, bro.
once I started doing that, I was like, man, I just want to help people. And I didn't know whether that was me joining the police force or whether that was me. I didn't know what helping people looked like, but I knew I needed to help myself first and foremost.
Of course. Yep.
So I started putting myself into alternative programs. I started learning more about myself. I started communicating and talking to people about how I feel. And I no longer felt like I had the weight of the world on my shoulders. My beautiful partner said, babe, well, what do you want to do? And I said, well, I want to help young people. I can engage with them. I can understand what they've gone through. I know where all their anger and maybe their vices come from. And I'm going to utilize my experiences of being at school and going through the industry and help as many young people as possible. But again, that had to start off with me helping myself.
Of course, you can't teach what you don't know, right? And this is the thing, though, because you've been through it as well, you've got this relatability piece with these young men and women, which is a beautiful thing. Like, you know, I remember as a young child or young man going into like psychologist office, and I'm like, I don't want to be here. This guy doesn't fucking get what I'm going through.
Absolutely.
So that get there is almost like your superpower.
I mean, it is, you know, and to engage with a young person and them hear my story and know that I'm not talking any shit because they can feel it through my emotion.
Bro. Yeah.
It's different, you know, and even by the way that we dress, they walk in and see us straight away and judge us.
Yep.
That's just a human nature.
Everyone does, right?
Everyone does.
That's a safety thing.
That's it.
You
So,
know?
mate, we dress the way they dress. We talk the way they talk, but we've gone through enough lessons in life to now turn it around for them and help them understand, one, their own story, two, who they are, and then three, give them some direction. So I'm thankful, man, that my beautiful partner said, babe, chase your dreams. Go and help these young people. And, mate, it took me 1.5 years to get E-Suarve off the ground. I was working out of my sister's garage.
It hasn't been an easy road, has it?
It hasn't been an easy road. I was renting with, not even renting, I was living with my in-laws. I was living with my sister. I was moving house to house because I actually had nowhere. And so by the time I'm 30 odd, I'm still going, man, what am I doing with myself? Is this worth it? And everything inside of me was saying everything is worth it. So, mate, one of my very first meetings I ever had with a registered training organisation for the program, I said, oh, mate, come to my office. The office was in my sister's garage. And he was going, what the hell? So, like, I started from the bare bottoms. I managed to get it off the ground and register E-Suarve. And then initially our program was going inside a Brisbane Youth Detention Centre.
Yeah.
So when COVID hit in 2020, I'd spent 1.5 years planning everything. I knew the program was going to work. I knew what I was going to do with young people. We're about to give the green light to go into the detention centres. COVID hit, bang, stopped everything. From there, I needed to recoup and go, well, what am I going to do? And I just said, well, we've got such a we've got a gift of a program.
Yeah, bro.
We need to get this off the ground. So I turned to a couple of my beautiful friends, Todd and Camille Pepper, and I asked them for a loan. And they said, no, Joe, we believe you. We've always believed in you. We want to donate this money to you and we will back you the whole way. You just need to show us what you've got. So they gave me $25,000 to get E-Suarve off the ground. I had got a warehouse in Ormo. And to have that belief from other people that are successful just gave me more confidence to do what I could do.
Light the fire within you, man.
Lit the fire,
Yeah,
right?
bro.
So our very first program was in 2020. We had 9 young people.
That's for a first program as well. So hang on, let me just ask. Okay, for your first program, where were you getting these kids from? Because I understand that now you get referrals from court, you get referrals from the police, parole, juvie, that sort of stuff. But for your first 9 people, to actually get 9 people into a program that's never been run before, there's obviously a lot of backing and a lot of belief there from, I guess, the public or from the community that's like, okay, this is going to work.
Mate, when you've got nothing in the bank, when you've got no runs on the board, you have to go out and knock on every single door. And I had more doors closed on me than I had open on me. No one believed in what we were going to do. I had some police members laugh at me. I had some politicians.
I believe that, bro.
I sat there and talked to them and it would go in one ear, out the other.
Yep.
In that moment, I could have let that get me down. Or I could have done something with it. And it just motivated me even more. On a Monday and Wednesday, when they have children's court at Southport, I'd just walk into court and go wait in the waiting rooms and just talk to young people, talk to parents. And the frustration that I found from day one from parents is that their kids this is a revolving door. They've come to court all the time. There's nothing out there for them.
Yeah.
These kids could engage with me straight away. They came into my program, but mate, that was also met with barriers. There's a government department, I'm not going to drop names, but there was a government department that put up barriers straight away because these young people were engaging with our program versus going into their program.
Yeah.
So we're working in a system of young people. We're supposed to help them, but there's a lot of organisations that aren't actually working together. Or government services that are putting up barriers to allow local services to actually make a difference.
And what do you think the problem there is? Why do you think these other services are, like you said, roadblocking programs like your own, who obviously, they do want to help? Is it something to do with a financial gain? Is it something to do with just because it's the way it's always been done? What is the key factors behind that for you in your own eyes?
Oh, look, in my own eyes, it's the funding side of things.
Yep.
You've got to fill the numbers in order to get your funding, and if you don't fill those numbers, you pay your funding back. You know, so
you're taking bums off seats, in other words. That's the way they see it.
And that's exactly it, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes, look, I'll be very honest, there's a lot of organisations or a lot of people we've seen that are there to tick a box.
Yep.
We're not there because of that.
We're
there to make a difference.
I've seen that in my own, my experience with you guys and the very little experiences I've had, even just coming there, meeting some of the kids and the way that you interact with them, the way that you show up for these kids, man. It's unseen because most of the time it is just a tick and flick for a lot of these organisations, bro.
Yep.
So honestly, like I said before, man, thank you for the work that you're doing. It's a
That's
beautiful thing.
You know, mate, for the first 2 years, we had no funding whatsoever.
Yep.
I had to sleep on my couch with a good friend, Steve, who's been with E-Suarve from day one.
Yeah.
We couldn't afford to go home. We couldn't even afford every day to feed our kids. So we had our own family and friends dropping off food to feed our kids. We had people donating PPE just to put the shirts on the back of young people.
Yeah, bro.
So everything that we may be raising or getting financially was going straight back into our program, straight back into our kids, at a detriment to ourselves. You know, we ran ourselves into the ground, but we had such a why or such a purpose why we turned up every day for these young people.
Yeah, man.
That didn't matter.
Of course.
There were days that we wouldn't eat. As long as we knew our kids ate, we were okay with that.
Yeah.
You know, so our referrals started coming from Youth Justice and Southport Court, Queensland Education. So those first 9 that come through, all 9 are now into work. All 9 we still talk to. It's not a 10-week program in the door, see you later. This is family for us. And a lot of that has come from my environment. My parents gave us a family environment. They taught us how to love and probably protect us from all the external elements that were getting thrown at us from a young age.
Yep.
And also from my cultural background as well.
For sure.
You know, we're taught to love. We're taught to care for everyone, even if you don't know who they are. So incorporating at school that I was never dumb at school. I just used to get frustrated because the teachers used to teach one way, where these kids and everyone learn multiple ways.
Yep.
You know, for me, I was a very hands-on person.
Yeah,
you show me how to do something with my hand, probably like most men, chuck the instructions away. We're good. You know?
Yeah, what are instructions?
So I took all these concepts that that were lessons for me in life and applied it into a program. But first and foremost, I knew that mental health had to be at the forefront of it.
For sure. I mean, if you're in a deficit of mental health, right, you're in a bad place mentally. You can't change anything, right?
Yep.
You can't fix a problem from the same place the problem was created. But
that's it.
I mean, talking into that a little bit more, obviously, with the Big Brother program that you run, can you tell us a little bit more about what that looks like and I guess how that works? And like, obviously, you've got an amazing success rate, so you're doing something right.
Absolutely, mate. So, again, speaking on mental health and wellbeing at the forefront. Our Big Brother program is a 10-week full-time program, Monday to Friday.
Yeah, so when you say full-time, do they live in or are they coming to the campus?
Yeah, coming to the campus. So we pick them up and drop them off every day from all my train stations.
Yep.
So we'll help them with go-cards if they can't afford the transport or to get there.
Gotcha.
The first 2 weeks is all based on mental health and wellbeing, but mainly building trust with us. Most of these young people have been put into so many different programs. This is just on day one, another program to them.
Yeah.
For us, we share our stories. We're vulnerable when we share our stories. We're very open. We're very real. These young people know who we are first. It's uncomfortable for them to come into an environment and go, "Oh, who are you? What's your story?" No one's going to open up.
Why should I be vulnerable?
You're just another person that's coming into my life.
Yeah.
I'll be gone tomorrow.
Yeah, straight up.
You know, the second day, same thing. We're sharing a bit more of our story, but then we're just going, "Hey, brother or sister, what's your name? Where are you from?" Cool. So we don't push them. We just slowly make them feel comfortable with us. But at the same time, in week 1, we're doing lots of outdoor activities. We might go karting.
Yeah.
We might do abseiling, rock climbing. We go camping. These are just exercises to us to go out and have fun, but connect at the same time.
Team building type thing, right?
Team building,
yeah, bro.
All team building.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm very competitive as well. I don't take it easy on any of my kids. So all the past kids listening to this, they know, you know. But again, that's like a lesson.
Yeah.
You know, people were never easy on me, so I'm hard on the kids. There's a lot of tough love in our program. Second week, we go away camping, and that's just to disconnect away from their environments and to connect within our environment and to really get to know who's who in our crew.
Yep.
Now, I need to say this. Most of these young people that we now get referred into the program all know each other.
Yeah.
Through either it's crime, their own network, social media. They've all got names and they all know of each other. The amount of times we've had young people come in and almost on day 1 or day 2 have fist fights is very normal for us to see. We deal with that in a different way. I share my stories going, boys, if you think fighting's going to solve the problem, you're wrong. It goes back and forth the whole time. So we'll sit with the young people and go, hey, this isn't going to work. If you want to be part of the program, these are the rules. Let's deal with this shit now.
Yeah.
So we deal with all that. And once we get through the first 2 weeks, they then earn our shirts.
Yeah.
So for E-Suarve, you have to earn everything there.
Yeah, we just seeing that at the graduation, bro. Those boys, those girls, they need to earn that shit. And there was even people that were in your program recently in December that didn't earn their shirt.
Yeah.
But you still give them the chance too, right?
Well, that's how much we value our time that we're giving. That's how much we value our space. And you're not just going to get given things and then see you later the next day and walk out with all of our stuff. You have to earn everything.
Yeah, straight up.
So from day one, we talk about all of that and what E-Suarve means. So at the end of the week 2, once they've gone through all the mental health exercises, they've learnt each other and who each other in the group is, we then give them the uniforms. We'll give them, high-vis shirts. We'll give them our T-shirts, basketball shorts. We'll fit them out with everything so they can feel cool. So they don't have to ask or worry about, oh, actually, I don't have anything. I'm not going to turn up because of that. Over the following 8 weeks, we do a Cert 1 in construction.
Yep.
So we do a Cert 1 in construction, first aid, CPR, and white card.
Yep.
And we do all of that while building tiny homes.
Yeah. So all your guys are first aid and CPR registered. That's good to know for the event we've got coming up.
That's it. I don't know how good they are, but they've got it. But mate,
everyone can push 000, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But over the following 8 weeks, we build a tiny home. And those tiny homes we've donated back to the most recent one. We donated to Youth Outreach, which is a homeless shelter here on the Gold Coast.
And that was where one of your students actually came from, correct?
Absolutely.
Man, that's beautiful.
So because he came from that environment, he helped build the house, and then we knew of other young people struggling. We just thought, well, who better not to donate a home to than us and the young person that is actually living there and an organisation that's helping us at the same time.
For sure.
So it's funny to me because we're such a small organisation. We've only done this really with a team of 3, and we've now just doubled that to a team of 6.
Amazing.
But mate, we've helped close to 300 young people. We've got over 90% of those young people in employment. Only 4 have ever returned back to juvie.
Yeah.
We've got external evaluations conducted by Queensland Police that backs all of this evidence. Mate, we've won multiple awards through Queensland Government. Last year, we were the Training Initiative of the Year for the Southeast region.
Beautiful.
And then we went on to the Queensland state titles, and now to 800 nominations, our organisation won the Training Initiative of the Year.
Yeah.
The local Gold Coast City Council understand how important our program is, so we're nominated for the Safest Suburbs Award. We ended up winning the Meritorious Award, which was the biggest award there, and we shared that with the Jack Beasley Foundation, who are doing massive, incredible work with wanting for their son as well. So, mate, we're a small organisation making waves, and we're doing this. We've done this really on the smell of an oily rag.
Man, so this is the thing, right? You're an organisation of 3, or we're an organisation of 3 that's helped almost 300 kids, yet we've got these organisations, jail, let's say, institutions that are, funded by the government. They've got so many bodies, yet they can't even seem to, actually have a positive result at all.
Yeah.
What differentiates what you're doing to, I guess, your typical government services, and why, obviously, would you say that your program is working as opposed to, your typical jail and stuff like that?
Mate, they've got a lot of red tape.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of processes that they need to go through.
They're outdated, right?
They're outdated. When we see an issue or something wrong with a young person, let's say they don't have housing, we don't have to fill out an application form. We fix the problem then and there.
Yep.
That's the biggest difference. We don't have barriers that are going to stop us from a process that has to go up through the chain. We treat humans like humans. And unfortunately, a lot of these young people that live in these environments or are stuck in the system or come from residential care, helping them, in a couple of days' time just doesn't work.
Yeah, bro.
It can't work. They're going to end up back in juvie or end up in the hospital or end up hurting themselves. So we're able to help them then and there. We have a phone that never switches off.
Yep.
Our young people get that. They can ring us no matter what time of the day, and we always answer.
Yep.
That's what we pride ourselves on.
Yep.
Mate, I've been to attempted suicides. I've sat in the watch house. I've sat in court. I've gone out to Brisbane Youth Detention Centre. I've gone to domestic violence calls where young people can't communicate with their parents. I've sat in on those family conversations. We are doing so many things that we actually don't explain because for us, it's just what we always chose to do. So it's normal for us.
Yeah.
It's outside of the box for everyone else. So we don't sit there and pat ourselves on the back because that was always our intention, was to just be there every step of the way.
I think that's the most important thing because a lot of these kids, like you said, they've been through these institutions and they feel like, it's just like turn their back on them as soon as they get the chance to, whereas you guys are there to support. And so for us as a community, obviously we know that jail doesn't work yet. A lot of, the people of the community are so quick to say, throw away the key, lock these kids up, they're animals, all that sort of stuff. What can we do as a community to start to change that perspective and actually start to create a change for the kids that are obviously struggling with these cycles of youth crime?
Yeah, well, firstly, I want to say there's certainly a time and place for juvie or
Of
prison.
course. I agree with that 100%.
Absolutely. But don't be so narrow-minded to think that all these young people have been given the same upbringing or opportunities as that any other normal kid has had.
Yeah.
Because they haven't. That is far from the truth. These young people, man, like sexually abused from their mothers and fathers.
Yeah, bro.
You know, have just gone through so much trauma, whether it's physical, sexual. These kids have grown up in residential care. I've had young people that were given away from their parents to be put into the system because they can't handle them. When you're dealing with young people that have never had a loving environment or a supportive environment or people that are genuinely there to love and care for them, I completely understand why these young people make these choices. They're going off and being part of these gangs or being part of these groups to feel part of a family. Yes, it looks like a gang, but to them, it's a family.
That's right.
It's somewhere for them to belong. It's somewhere for people to hug them, high five them, give them connection.
Validate them.
These are
bro.
young people that have never had that because of their environments. I definitely don't agree with the choices they make, but I understand why they make the choices at the same time. You know, and we're just there for them every step of the way. And when you hear their stories, that's why we're so passionate about helping them, because it's just like no fault of their own for 90% of them, and certainly no fault of their own.
Yeah, and I think that's why you and I could connect on that, because I think this is something that really rings true for me, and this is something that Cooper Chapman said to me. He does a lot of mental health stuff. You know, get curious rather than furious, because we're so quick to judge, so quick to get angry. But if you sit down and actually listen to the stories that a lot of these kids have, it just really just gives you a bit more empathy and compassion for what they're going through, because they are just kids.
Mate, the way they
come from broken homes, right?
And that's it. The way they dress and their external behaviours are their protection mechanisms for themselves.
That's right.
They've had so many people walk over them their whole life or talk down to them. No wonder they've got their guard up or their chest out. You know, they're finding ways to protect themselves. And yes, they're negative ways, but that's the only way they know.
Yeah.
Now, when we come in and show them, we're teaching them breath work. We're teaching them meditation. I'm crying in front of them with my hat backwards, dressed like a gangster or what a gangster might look like to them.
Yeah.
You know, and it's confusing the hell out of them. They're going, you know, why's Uncle crying? But I'm showing them it's okay you can be cool and look the way and dress the way we dress, but it's okay to let your guard down and
be vulnerable.
Be vulnerable and share whatever it is you're going through. And then the analogy we use is most of these young people are walking around like a shaked up Coke bottle.
Yeah.
Now I teach the kids that if we talk about our stuff, that you can slowly release the lid. And when you slowly release the lid versus just opening it up,
Take it off,
it does not overflow or doesn't explode. So I'm teaching these young people every day when they turn up gratitudes. I'm teaching them, I'm checking in with every single person. How are you going? You know, I'm letting them have a voice. I'm letting them feel seen. And when you're slowly opening that cap for them, all of these problems that they've had their whole life are going away. Now we're building them up to have purpose in their life. We're giving them qualifications, and then we're helping them identify what pathways or employment opportunities they want to go to. Now they've got something to wake up for.
Yep.
And that's what's beautiful. And we see that in their eyes. We see them coming on day one and just like, oh, here's another program, to day 10, to week 10, don't want to leave.
Yeah, bro.
And that's what's special about our program. Now, we go through emotions at the back end of the program. It's scary for them again because they're going back out into the whole wide world. The difference with E-Suarve is we're there every step of the way. We'll talk to the employers. We'll find out if a young person's not showing up to work. We'll ring them up and say, hey, get your ass up out of bed, get to work.
Slap up the head.
You know, and they're going, sorry, auntie, sorry, uncle. You know, so there's now people keeping them accountable.
Yeah.
You know, so we're doing so much stuff that isn't explained, and that's just for us. It's so normal for us, you know.
Yeah.
Feed the kids every day. We take them shopping. They have the budget for the food. We give them the money. Then they have to cook for everyone. They have to clean up at E-Suarve. You know, they've got to clean the vans. It's just a normal living environment, and we're showing them stuff that they just weren't shown. So we're doing so much, mate, from day one to week 10. We're completely changing their life around, and then we're being part of their life moving forward.
It's a beautiful thing, man. It's a beautiful thing. And I guess that's a big reason as to why we couldn't be prouder to be able to support you with the INTOCHANGE project, Change for Good Challenge, man, because obviously we know that every dollar raised is going to support you guys with the amazing work that you're doing.
Yep.
And that was the whole purpose of putting on this challenge in the first place, was knowing that the money we raise, because obviously a lot of the time you go and donate money to charities, right? And you don't know where that money actually goes, how much of it goes to organisations, how much of it goes to administrations, right? And how much actually gets to, you know, let's say the kids in Africa or whoever it might be. But knowing that, I guess, every dollar is raised is going to be coming to support you guys and helping you to make a change in the life of these young kids is such a beautiful thing. And so I guess we might as well talk a little bit about this challenge. I know that you're going to be a big part of it, and you're going to be bringing some of your kids along as well, bro, which is actually such a beautiful thing, to be able to show these young men and women that all these people that are here for this challenge, for this charity event, they're there for them.
Yep.
You know, and that shows them how loved they are, because I mean, a lot of these kids, and I know this, like when I was going through what I was going through, felt so alone. You know, so not only have they got you guys behind them, but also then showing them the support of the community that is there to support them, which is what this whole event's about.
Yep.
Bringing the community together, because alone we cannot change their lives, but as a community we can have a huge impact on this cycle of youth crime that's really happening on the Gold Coast. And so 22nd, 23rd of February is the event, the big day.
Yep.
It's like, what, 3 weeks away, man?
It's
3
close.
weeks?
It's
Are
close.
you kidding me? And, man, it's been a long road. It's been a long road. There's been a couple of times there we've almost cancelled it. I was telling Curtis about this the other day, like the amount of times that I was like, I'm going to cancel the event, like, because we were going to set up our own charity and then it wasn't going to push through. And I remember giving you a call, right, after giving you a call like 6 or 7 times before that, and you answer on the first ring.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, Lord, I'm listening.
Yeah.
I'm listening.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, sweet. And so 22nd, 23rd of Feb, we've got this 24-hour challenge coming up, the Change for Good challenge, and obviously you guys are going to be a big part of it. So we've got the 4-hour run, 4-hour downhill mountain bike, 4-hour gym workout, 4-hour pack march, and 4-hour open water kayaking session, which is just going to be lit. Like, the more and more that we talk about this, it actually just gets me so excited. So which part of the challenge are you looking forward to the most? Which part of the challenge are you scared of the most, or are you fearing, brother?
Oh, brother, first and foremost, I've just come off a 3-week holiday off the back end of a
Getting
wedding.
married?
So getting married. So
Congratulations, by the way, brother.
mate, I've done no training whatsoever, but as I've gotten older, my mindset's so strong that, you know, you put me in front of something or put me in a corner, I've learned to come out of the corner. So
well, it's 20% like actual physical training and 80% mental grit, and everyone can find that within them.
yeah, so I'm just looking forward to challenging myself. I've got young people that have so much mental resilience that are going to be part of this as well.
Yeah.
I've put my hand up to do the 4-hour kayak, the 4-hour downhill mountain biking, and the 4-hour pack march.
Yep.
I'm going to work out our E-Suarve team. They're going to do the rest. But I think for young people to see the community support that's out there, it is so important, and we mustn't undervalue that. And I'll just go back to our graduations. We usually have 150 to 200 people turn up, and my young people are going, Uncle, are they here for us?
The most recent one, bro, was beautiful. The amount of people that were just there to support these kids, and you see all your kids as well just looking around, just going, I've never had this before.
Exactly. They know that they're now seen. They're part of society, and they actually feel like society's working with them.
Yep.
So to have so many events put on, but then to have our young people working out beside whoever it else might be out in the community is going to be beautiful.
Yeah, man.
You know, our young people as well, just quickly talk a lot of smack. So there's going to be a lot of fun and a lot of laughter out there, and they'll be pushing a lot of people.
We're here for it, bro. We are here for it.
I'm here for it too, and
Yeah,
I'll be giving them some too. So if my old ass can get out there and do a bit of a workout, they'll be there too.
All right, guys. So that'll bring us to the end of this one. If people want to find out more about E-Suarve and the amazing work that you and Camille and Steve and everyone else in the community there are doing, where can they find you?
Mate, you can visit us at www.esuarve.com.au. We're on Instagram and Facebook as well at E_SUARVE. Just quickly, what does everything Suave mean? E-Suarve means to hold yourself well. That's what we teach our young people. So no matter where you go, present yourself well and have enough strength to walk away and say no.
Yeah, and with the interactions I've had with the members and the young men from E-Suarve and women as well, I've only really had interactions with young men, but running into some of the boys at the shopping centre, they do carry themselves with exactly that, you know, pride, respect, and honestly, the way that I saw them when they were interacting with you guys at the campus to outside is congruent, which is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so if you guys want to find out more about the Interchange Change for Good Challenge, you can go to www.interchange.org for all the details, or shoot us a message at The Interchange Project on Instagram, and we'll give you all the details and hopefully see you there, because we need volunteers, participants, we need donations, we need just the community to get behind this. So if you can, you know, get involved with the event, amazing. If not, and you can donate, even better. But if you'd like to volunteer, shoot us a message and we'll get you on board.
Awesome.
Cheers, guys. My guy.
My brother. Thank you, bro.
Thank you, bro.